everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're seeing my face for the first time, my name is Lolu, but people like to call me the Nifty Mom. As you can see from the title, today I'll be giving you tips and just sharing my experience generally on how I was able to pass my practical driving test. I did my practical in December of last year. That was December 2023. And I also passed at my first attempt. Let's go straight into the practical. Okay, this one really excites me. I cannot explain. So for the practical, my number one tip for you is also practice. For this, it doesn't matter how long. I keep saying it. And I know people will say, yes, I didn't practice or I didn't take driving test and I passed it once. Don't listen. That is too much of a risk to take. You know how much this test costs. There's no need taking chances, okay? Pay for driving lessons. There are things that these driving instructors know. There are things they know. There are things they're going to tell you while you're driving with them. It doesn't have to be so many. It can be just 2 driving lessons you need to take. I've been driving for almost 8 years before I left my country. That's Nigeria. I get more experience for this driving thing, but I still thought it was important for me to take lessons because I wasn't so confident in this place. I cannot explain it, but there's just a way that this place just makes your confidence go like this in driving. Another thing I'm going to tell you is get a good instructor. Just kind of find someone that is not a gatekeeper or just needs your money. They also want you to pass as soon as possible. I know a lot of instructors they just need your money. So they'll keep telling you, no, I don't think you're confident enough and all that. Just pray to God to lead you to one. My husband had already passed his driving test before me. That was like about a year before me. He also did it once, both the theory and his practical, and he passed it once. I didn't use the driving instructor he used because I just felt, I think I want a lady instructor. And that was what I got. When I started with her, I think I had just 3 lessons with her initially before I had to move away from where we used to live. I moved cities, okay? So I moved away and I just put a stop to the driving thing. But when bosses have disappointed me so much, there is a way that you go through it. You will know that you need to pass your driving test. You'll just be so determined. That was what happened to me. I have suffered a lot, I was spending a lot on taxis because where we had moved to, the bus stop was so far away from home. I used to rant on my Instagram stories on how frustrating that period was for me. So I did 3 lessons, then I had to move. My plan initially was that I was going to do my practical as soon as I passed my theory. But this didn't happen because we had to relocate. It just kind of, destabilized me a bit. But I would highly recommend that don't let the gap between your theory and your practical to be too long if you can. Mine was almost a year. So I was saying that we had moved cities and I just kind of thought I'm going to hold on this driving thing for now. But I would walk 20 minutes to the bus station. Then I will now have to take 2 buses to take my children to school. And when I'm going to pick them up too, I have to leave home. Closing time is 3:10. Then I have to leave home before 2 o'clock just to be able to meet up. So I would have to spend 1 hour in the bus. Like, it was a bad experience for me. It was just taking a lot out of me. And I knew that I needed to pass my test. So that was why I put my all in it. I booked my test in April 2023, but the available date I got was for December. Even though there is an app that I downloaded, that app that you can use to change your dates. But for some reason, I just left it because in my mind, I knew that I was not actually ready. So I left that date till December. Take your driving lessons in the driving test route that you will be doing your testing, okay? So that you're familiar with the road, all the routes that the examiner might take you through. In total, I took 10 lessons in total. I took 3-hour lessons a day to my driving test at a stretch. Yes, I did 3 hours at a stretch. Then in the morning of my driving test as well, I now took 1 more hour of lesson. If you think that after 2 lessons, you are good to go, give it a try. Don't just leave these things to chance or 50-50. Let me just try it. Why do you want to waste money? Why? Just try and take few lessons. My second tip for you is that you should do personal lessons as well. I remember those times my husband would tell me if we're going to church or we're going somewhere close by, he would tell me to drive. Also pay attention when someone else is driving beside you. Don't be pressing phone. That's what my husband will always say I do. My husband will say instead of me to be watching him as he's driving, I'm pressing my phone. So don't be like me, okay? When I knew that I was ready for the test, I started paying attention. I asked questions. Why did you go this way? What am I supposed to look out for? Just pay attention when someone else is driving beside you. I think that's going to really, really help you as well. I use two major YouTube channels to prepare for my driving test. The first one is Driving TV, and the second one is DTC Driving Tips for Life. These two men teach you so well that I promise you, if you can watch their YouTube videos very, very well, you would learn a lot. So those two YouTube channels really, really, really helped me. They built my confidence. They taught me a lot of things that even the instructor might not have touched. So I highly recommend these two YouTube channels. My next tip for you would be that you should surround yourself with people that tell you, the people that encourage you. There is power in your circle. There is power in the people you surround yourself with. Speak it. Say it with your mouth that you're going to pass this thing. You're not going to waste your money. Confess it. Believe that you're going to pass it. Believe that you're going to do this once. I did not choose my test. I did not choose a rush hour for my test. Okay. I didn't choose a rush hour for my test. I would say you should avoid times like 8 a.m. when people are going to work, when children are going to school. That time you have so much hazard on the road. People that do their tests very early in the morning, I just feel that there's too much going on at the same time. So I would say avoid early mornings, avoid closing hours like 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock when children are leaving school. There are just a lot happening at that time. So you want to avoid that time if possible. Okay. I did my test 11:11, which means people were already at work, students were already at school. The road was not as busy. Of course, it was not like there was no one on the road, but it was just not as busy as it would be early in the morning or at closing hours. So my next tip for you is to pray. I prayed to God about this test. I prayed about everything. I prayed about the examiner that I did not know. I prayed about that day, the day of the driving test. I prayed about the route that I'm going to take. I just prayed about every single thing. I prayed about the car that I was going to use because I used my instructor's car. Few months to the test, the Holy Spirit gave me a word. And immediately I saw that word in the Bible, I knew that this was for me and this was for my test. I told my husband that day, I said, I have the word that I'm holding on to for my test because I don't know, I was just so scared. For someone that was not new to driving, I couldn't understand. I was so anxious. The word I got was from Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. It says, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears would hear a voice saying, this is the way, walk in it. And I just fine-tuned it for me. I said that when I am forgetting the right things to do, or when I'm going, when I'm supposed to turn left and I'm turning right, the Holy Spirit is going to be ministering to me and be telling me the right things. This is the way. Drive this way. This is the way. And I was praying with that word. You guys, God answers prayers and He will not disappoint you. He will not put you to shame. Another point that I'm going to tell you is that you should do it afraid, which I shared also in my Instagram post. Do it afraid. The thing is that what I've realized is that no matter how much you think you practice, or no matter how confident you think you are, when it gets to that day of your test or a day before, I'm going to tell you what, a day before my test, okay, it was even the morning of my test, I was telling my husband that, next time I want to do this test, I'm not even going to tell anybody. Then my husband said, Why are you saying next time you want to do the test? What is wrong with you? You've not even done the test. You already say next time you want to do it. That was how unsure I was about myself. The thing is that even if you move that test, if you keep moving it, because when it's close to your test, you'll be getting messages from DVLA telling you, if you think you're not sure, if you think you've not practiced enough, you can move it. And one side of my mind, I'll be thinking it's true, you can move it. But I'm just like, at some point, I'm like, I'm not going to move this test. I'm going to do it afraid. I am going to do it afraid. And that was what I did. I went there. In fact, the morning of my test, I just woke up that morning. I was feeling so emotional. I was crying. It was a lot of emotions for me, this driving thing. There was a post on Instagram and I was saying that nobody can tell me that this is not a big deal. I'm not going to accept it because it was a lot of emotions for me passing that test. So no matter how much you think you've practiced, I feel that you still have some sort of doubt. So just go for it. Just do it afraid. Let's talk about the part of the D-Day. That's your driving test day. What you should expect, what's going to happen. So on the day, get there on time. If you can, have another lesson. That was what I did. I had the lesson, 1 hour lesson just before my test. If you can, but if you can't, it's all right. I did 1 hour lesson before my test, and I got there right on time. So get there early, get to the test center early, eat before you leave home, okay? I know you're nervous, I know you're scared, but eat before you leave home. Have a good bath, try and sleep the day before. Have a good sleep the day before. Dress nice, okay? Smell nice. Look good, dress well, wear comfortable shoes, okay? And come on time to your test center. When you get to the test center, the only thing you need really is your provisional license. My instructor came with me to the test center. We entered into the center. She asked me if I wanted to use the bathroom, and I was just like, that is fantastic. So if possible, use the bathroom. They have a nice and clean bathroom in the test center. You don't want to be pressed while you are having your driving test. Just try and be comfortable as much as possible. Your examiner is going to come out, call your name. He's going to just basic questions, just to be sure that you're the one that you're going to sign. There's this consent thing that you're going to sign, and it's going to tell you to lead into the car that you're using. Another thing they are going to ask you is if you want your driving instructor to come with you. And I was like, nope, no, I don't want that. Please don't come with me. And I went alone. I took him to the car. Try and understand everything you need to understand in the car you're using. If you're not using your car, if you're using someone else's car, if you're using your instructor's car, you can also use your personal car, but there are some things you need to buy. I think you need to buy extra mirrors. Just read that up and do what you need to do on your car. So I was using my instructor's car. I took the examiner to the car. This is the car I'm using. Then they'll tell you, if you're using glasses, try and take your glasses with you. They'll tell you to read from a distance, the plate number. They want to know how good your eyesight is. So you read from a distance, the plate number of the car. If you can read that, all good, then you're set. You would not believe that as we got into the car, my first maneuver was inside the driving test center. I know. I'm like, guy, you'd not even let me calm down and, kind of find my balance. Immediately, he told me to do the reverse bay parking inside the test center because they had all these bays in the test center as well. So he told me to do the reverse bay parking before we left the test center. Oh my goodness. One thing I want you to know is that it is all right to make mistake. They are not looking for a perfect driver, in quotes. They only want a careful driver and someone that seems like you know what you're doing. No one is perfect, okay? No one is perfect. So he told me to do the reverse bay parking right inside the test center before we even moved. So I tried to do the reverse bay parking. I did not get it once perfectly the way I wanted it to be. I did it again till I got it. As I said, they are not looking for a perfect driver. Just try to get, it's better to do it twice and get yourself into the lines than for you to park anyhow because you just want to do it once. So know that it is okay to correct your errors. There was also an instance when my examiner had told me to take the fourth exit and I took the third exit instead of the fourth exit. And I just told him, oh, I've made a mistake. And he said, it's all right, we are going to correct it. So we just went again and went round and I corrected my mistake. So this is just to let you know that it's okay to make mistakes as long as you're not putting anyone at risk. You can correct your errors during your driving tests. When you're done, park your car, pull your handbrake, and tell him that you're done, or him or her. Then I told him I was done. Then he said, okay, I can carry on. So we now started the driving test proper. I started the driving test. One thing about the examiners is that they are going to engage you. They are going to speak with you. I think most of them are going to talk to you. They are going to try and not make you feel so nervous. They are going to try and make you feel at ease. So they will be asking you questions, But another thing I want you to note is that as much as they are engaging you and talking with you, do not lose your concentration. Don't forget your speed limit because you are so lost in the discussion. That almost happened to me because I was so lost in the gist. I was gisting with the guy that I almost forgot my speed limit. So do not be so caught up in the discussion that you forget yourself. Pay attention. Do your 6-point checks as much as possible. Check your mirrors. Check. That is one thing they like so much. Check your mirrors as much as possible. They are looking at your eyes. The instructor is the examiner is looking at your eyes. They are checking as much as they are gisting with you. They are looking at you. They are paying attention to what you're doing. So you also should pay attention to what you are driving. Another thing I did during my driving test was commentary driving. Commentary driving is when you're talking or you're saying what you can observe as you're driving. So the examiner knows that you know what you're doing. I don't know if that makes sense. So as I'm driving, if I'm approaching a pedestrian crossing, I'm saying it. He doesn't need to answer me. I am just in my character for what I am doing. I'm like, okay, I'm approaching the pedestrian crossing right now. I'm approaching the yellow box. When I get to the yellow box, if there's no space for me in front of the yellow box, I'm going to stay behind the yellow box. I'm just talking as I'm driving. And, I just feel that it makes the guy knows that you know what you're doing. So if it's possible for you, comment as you drive. Just be as safe as possible. My husband will say something. My husband would say that your examiner needs to feel safe when you're driving him or her. Another thing you need to do is to look out for signs, your speed limits. Look out for all those signs. Sometimes there are temporary signs. Maybe a light is not working. Maybe they are trying to fix something, then there is a temporary traffic light. Watch out for those things on your test day. Do not assume that, okay, because my map is telling me this thing, that is what it is. Just watch out. Be very, very observant of what is happening around you on that day. On my own test day, I don't know, I think it's not everyone that does this. I had to do independent driving. Independent driving means that you have to follow the map. There was a point where the instructor was telling me turn right. When you get to that place, turn left. When he was telling me by himself. But at some point, I had to do my independent driving. I don't know if this is what everyone does. I didn't know how to use a map properly until when I had to do my driving test. So before my test day, I was already trying to, when I'm doing some little drivings, I put up the map and I try to understand how the map works. And thank God I was able to do that perfectly as well. There is another thing you're going to do. It's called emergency stop. I think your instructor before then should have kind of practiced that with you. It is you, the examiner is going to let you know before they tell you to stop. That's as you're driving, the examiner is going to tell you stop, and you have to stop sharply. Okay, you have to stop once. You cannot drag. You have to stop once. So the examiner is going to let you know few minutes that we're about to do the emergency stop now, so that you can be prepared. This is just for in case of emergencies. Maybe a child is crossing the road and you didn't see the child before, and the child just crosses the road and you have to stop at once. Okay, at this point, you are not checking mirrors for your emergency stop. You do not need to check mirrors. Once the examiner says stop, you stop it. What else? What else have I not taught? I think that those are the major things that you encounter on the day. The old test was about an hour, and when I finished, I drove back to the driving test center. Another thing is that once you think that you've been doing well, don't be overconfident or don't relax. Be on guard, be at alert till you park and you know that you're done with your test. Be at alert. Do not lose guard at the last minute, because people are failing their tests few minutes. People fail the test few minutes before the end of the test. You don't want that to be your story. So try as much as possible to be at alert, be on guard, be in character till you park your car and you're sure that your driving test has ended. When I got back to the driving test center, I parked the car and the examiner told me, I'm happy to announce to you that you passed your test. Oh my goodness, guys, I just started crying. I was weeping. I was weeping, guys. I was so happy. I was so grateful to God. I was so thankful that, oh, so I don't have to do this twice. So I'm just here to encourage someone. It is not as hard as, I know it's hard, but it is not impossible. You can do it. And I wish you all the best. If you have questions, if you want me to answer some things that are not clear to you about this driving thing, please feel free to ask me. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Ask in the comment section. And please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, like this video, share this video with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people who are planning to write their tests anytime soon. I'm sure it's going to be of great help to them. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.